So you're thinking about moving to or buying a home in the greater Seattle area, and you're not really sure where to start, how the process works, or who you should be talking to first. If so, this video is definitely for you. In this video, I'm going to cover the home buying process as a whole, as it pertains to the greater Seattle area or region, and the key things to be doing as a home buyer. You know, a home buyer's consultation. Make sure to stick around to the end of the video where I will be going over a strategy you could be using to find a great deal on your next home. Let's get into it. Hey, if this is your first time on the channel and you want to know everything there is to know about living, eating, breathing, sleeping, working, playing in the greater Seattle area, then subscribe below, tap the bell for notifications so you can be the first to learn about the current real estate market in the greater Seattle, Washington area. Hi, my name is Morrow. I'm a local realtor in the greater Seattle area, serving clients, both buyers and sellers in King, Pierce, and Snohomish counties. Our team and I get calls, texts, and emails every day from people just like you looking to make their move over here to the Seattle area, and we absolutely love it. So whether you're looking to make your move in 9 days or 90 days, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, or schedule a Zoom. All of the information is in the description below, so we can help you make a smooth move into home ownership in the greater Seattle area. All right, guys, so here's my abridged version of a home buyer guide or home buyer consultation. I could easily go up to an hour talking about all this super helpful info, but I definitely want to make this more manageable for you to watch. You don't want to be watching me for an hour, I know. So let's get into it. Step one to the home buying process, which is arguably the most important step, is getting pre-approved. This step, I can't stress enough, or at the bare minimum, get pre-qualified. So why do you want to do this? Well, it helps you understand what you can actually afford. It's that simple. If you're not going to buy the house in all cash, what you're looking to do is you're going to be putting a down payment down. So we got to figure out what that down payment amount is. And then based on the purchase price, you're going to know what your monthly payment is with all the other factors that go into that. And I will have a better idea of the max limit that we want to put on a home search based on that purchase price amount that you've worked out with the lender. You've worked the numbers out with them, because we've essentially worked backwards. We said based on your down payment and how much the maximum you're comfortable spending on your monthly payment is how we're going to get to what to stay under as a purchase price limit for what we're looking for. You're going to save so much time and energy by not looking at houses that you can't afford and just focusing on the ones that you can. Super helpful. Again, definitely go through the pre-approval process. I also highly recommend that if you're going to shop around for a home loan, that you do it up front. You don't wait till you go under contract. There's a lot of benefits that I've covered in other videos of why this is very helpful, but if you have any questions on it, I'd be happy to discuss with you. Definitely super important for the majority of people out there. It's going to make the process smoother if you just get the shopping done up front right now versus being under contract. All right, so step two, let's start looking for a house. So we put the search together based on what we've worked with the lender or lenders, if you shopped around with the lender or multiple lenders, and now we're going to be looking for houses. Well, before we even go show you a house, I've set up a home search for you. We've custom tailored it for you based on your wants and needs, and we've gone all over those goals. But what I'm going to do is if you send me a house that you want to go see, before we go see it, I'm going to verify that it doesn't have anything that you've told me that you don't want, and you just can't see it in the listing. So, for the most important thing is I check to make sure that it has a good chance to go with the loan type that you got. So let's say, for instance, you're getting an FHA loan, first time homebuyers loan, and you're not getting a conventional loan. Well, there are going to be houses that are out there that can only go conventional and they can't go FHA there's actually several different reasons why that could be. What matters is we want to show you the houses that can go FHA. So any house I'm showing you and you want to make an offer on it, you can. So we didn't waste your time driving out to a property to fall in love with it, only to find out you can't even make an offer on that property. So those are things that I help make sure to work through both the pre-approval process with you and the upfront looking for homes process, so all of that's smooth as butter. Okay, now we've gotten to the point where we're house hunting. We find the right house to look at, and house hunting can be done in several different ways. I work with a lot of out-of-state buyers, by the way, where their house hunting looks different from local home buyers, where a lot of the stuff they have me doing it remotely for them. So I don't have a lot of out-of-state clients coming here multiple trips. What they have me doing is doing video tours for them. And if we've narrowed it down to one that's been sitting on the market long enough, maybe we'll schedule them to fly out to see it, or they might put the house under contract based on the good video that we did, based on the virtual tour that the seller has had a Matterport scan or a virtual walkthrough. And then maybe they fly out to see it at their home inspection or at the final walkthrough. There's multiple areas when they're under contract that they could come see it. So just discuss that with your realtor on what your best strategy is, but there's so many solutions for out-of-town clients that you can definitely do in this virtual world. With that said, after we find houses, if we find a house that you like and you want to make an offer on it, next step is to meet again to put the offer together, and that's either in person or over Zoom or over the phone. I'm looking at my computer, you're looking at yours, and we're putting the offer together. We're going in the ins and outs, the ups and the downs, everything that constitutes and constructs that offer, and all the ways that you can leave the deal in a way that you're allowed to. Because again, one of the important things to know is when you make this offer, and if the seller accepts your offer, in your offer you've put that you're going to apply a certain amount of money towards the deal to be held by the title and escrow company. They're the same company that's in charge of transferring home ownership from the seller to you, the buyer. That's called earnest money. So that's either like, you can think of it as a security deposit for rent, or some people say it's like a down payment to a down payment. That's money that gets held in the escrow account till either A, you close on the property, which it gets applied towards any of your upfront costs, or B, if you, the buyer, leave the deal in a way you're allowed to, that's money that goes back to your pocket. Or C, doesn't happen to any of my clients, knock on wood, yet. But if a client or a buyer leaves the deal in a way they are not allowed to, then the seller does get it. So that's the only situation where the seller gets it. All of my clients are very well educated on every way possible that they can and cannot leave their deal contractually. So it's not an issue for my clients. And again, we go over more of this in depth. If you have any questions on this particular subject too, or any of these subjects, leave questions in the comments if you're on YouTube, or feel free to reach out to me again. I'm going to continue. So if the seller accepts your offer, congrats, that's awesome. Maybe sometimes it's a multiple offer situation you're in, or maybe you're the only buyer making an offer. That's going to be a whole different experience depending on which one you go through, but we're here to navigate either way. So you're under contract now. Typically within 2 business days, it's negotiable, but typically within 2 business days of going under contract, you give that earnest money to the escrow company and they hold on to it. And then within your first week, typically between anywhere from 4 to 7 days, 5 business days, you'll have your home inspection, negotiable. And then you'll also within that first week typically order your appraisal with the lender. And then you will finish your home inspection and have that appraisal done. While you're doing your home inspection, you're going to pay your inspector up front. That's anywhere from $400 to $700 where you typically see a home inspection runs you. And that's due when you're paying your home inspector. Side note, some sellers have prepaid for their own home inspection, and you can either take that as your own inspection or still do your own. So everything is negotiable when it comes to the deal, and that's why this can get very complicated fast, and that's why it's my job to simplify it for you. So anyways, once you've done your inspection, now we come back to the seller and we either say, A, we're moving forward, B, we're backing out, give me my earnest money back, or C, I will move forward if you do blank. So whether that's the seller lowering the price again, paying some of your closing costs, some combination, or maybe you've asked for some repairs for them to do and then they've agreed to them. Either way, that's a period to go back and forth and get out of the deal. If you and the seller can't come to a terms on the deal, that's a good time for you to leave the deal and you get your earnest money back. If we've moved forward, congrats, you're past your inspection contingency and now you're waiting for the appraisal to come in. What's super important about the appraisal process is your lender sends the appraiser out through an appraisal management company. They don't get to pick who it is. that lender goes out to the property and their job is to appraise the value of the property. So think of the appraisal report like an inspection report for the lender, but it's to figure out the value of the home, not necessarily the condition of the home. The reason why this is super important is your lender will only lend you the amount of money that the appraisal comes back at, not necessarily what you're offering. So if what you were offering is higher than what the appraisal comes back at, now we have a discrepancy and you and the seller have an opportunity to renegotiate terms. If you can't come to terms, how all my buyers make sure that their contract is written is they can leave the deal in a way where they can get their earnest money back if buyer and seller can't meet on terms on that. That's typically how it goes if you have the appraisal protection in your offer. Contingencies, I just tell buyers to think of them. They're like checkpoints or roadblocks, each one that you have to get through to go from going under contract to getting the keys on your home. So once you pass the inspection and the appraisal, a few others that you might have is an HOA review period if you have a homeowners association attached to the property that you're trying to buy. That's a period where you get to review all the HOA documents, ask the HOA questions, and make sure you're okay with the HOA. Also, a title contingency. This is where you get to review the title report and make sure there's nothing weird going on with title. And financing contingency. So this is an important one too to throw into your deal if you want to protect yourself. It's a condition. So you're making your offer based on the condition that your financing will go through. So if your financing fails, meaning you lose your job or something happens to where your financing where you can no longer buy the house and your financing falls through, you get your earnest money back. So that's an example, super important one to throw in there. And that protection can either protect you all the way through the deal or part of it. So that's kind of getting a little into the weeds to go more in depth on that one right now, but just talk to your realtor about that one more in depth on what the pros and cons are of the financing contingency. So once you've passed all that, then in the final week, within 5 business days of closing, you can do your final walkthrough where you're able to go to the house. This is a good time that if you've asked the seller to do any sort of repair work, that you get to check that it was done. The seller's supposed to, if you've written the contract right, provide to you a copy of receipts of the work that was done anyways. But essentially what's going to happen is that's another good time for you to make sure that those repairs were done as well. And it's also a good time to make sure the house is still there. It's not on fire. They didn't take all the appliances. There's no big holes in the wall that weren't there before. Windows aren't gone. House is in similar shape as you last saw it. And then the day before closing or the morning of, sometimes you'll sign all your final closing docs and you'll either meet at the title company, so escrow, or sometimes they can send a notary right to you to sign all the documents, like meet you at a Starbucks. I have a lot of out-of-town clients. We've even had clients that were out of the country and they met at a port for filling out their final documents, buying a home when they were on a cruise ship. So like they can have a notary meet you basically anywhere out of state, no problem. It's just something that has to be planned ahead. And if you're working with a competent realtor, we'll be able to make sure that that's planned ahead for you and just communicate with us on what you need and that will happen. So final day of closing, what will end up happening is typically if you sign the stuff the day before or the morning of, your lender and escrow will balance everything, make sure all the numbers add up. And then lender will send all the funding to the title and escrow company. And then they will release to record. It's called release to record, where at least here they'll send a physical courier to the county clerk. And what their job is to do is to stamp off and get recording numbers. So in our state, typically there's an addendum that we add into our offer that essentially says the day that it's released to record it counts as closing. And that's also helpful because the majority of title and escrow companies insure closing as that day. So your property is tidally insured for that day. And that basically is what happens. So with that in a nutshell, as long as your seller or you didn't agree that your seller gets extra time to stay in their house after closing, you get keys on that day. So the house becomes yours. Congrats, you're a homeowner now. That's the process in a nutshell. As you can see, I've gone over, there's several ways that you can do this out of state in multiple different capacities in parts of this deal. We have people that do all of this in person, which that's the most typical way to go about it. A lot of out-of-state people, they do like half and half, where they'll come see the house after going under contract. Some people buy houses sight unseen. Well, not sight unseen, but literally not seeing it physically in person until they get the keys. So there's so many ways to go about buying a home here. And most important thing is get with your realtor or call me, so then we can go over your home buying goals here and talk about what your particular situation is, so I can help tailor the home buying process to what you need and what's going to fit into your goals. That's it in a nutshell. And there you have it. If you're ready to take your first steps towards home ownership in the greater Seattle area, I'm here and ready to work with you. We'll make sure to go over all of your goals, answer all of your questions, and make sure to get you moving into your next correct steps to take. And remember, our team gets calls, texts, and emails every day from home buyers just like you looking to make their move over here, and we absolutely love it. So whether you're looking to make your move in 9 days or 90 days, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, or schedule a Zoom call, all in the description below. And until then, I hope to be showing you around town.